Well, hello. So here we are in the throes of lockdown easing, and I know my last week was a little bit. The inertia has set in. My world has contracted. It's become very small and very insular. It's just me, myself, my home, my husband, my dog, my little activities I do at home, and so. It's become my normal, because that's what we've done for however many weeks. I don't know how many weeks it is now, and so I've become a little bit complacent in doing the things that I know make me feel good. I've become quite stagnant in my energy, in my own thought process, and there's a lot of unrest out in the world as well, and I'm not going to get into all of that, but how do we deal with all of this energetically? So energy will affect us whether we believe it or not, whether it's in our reality or not. And the energy, the waves of energies, we've got the new moon happening, there's an eclipse happening. Apparently there's lots of retrograde planets. I don't understand all this, but what I do understand is the energy of it affects us and affects how we are living our own lives, our own real reality lives in the world. And obviously where our worlds have become a lot smaller, they've contracted in. Most people's worlds have become a lot smaller. And so how are we going to come out of these small worlds? Now, I decided yesterday I was going to do a video, and then it just didn't resonate. And so we do need to discern of what resonates for us. How do we feel like we're doing? And that's not me being lazy. I'm not being lazy about doing something, but the resonance wasn't there. And I know if I got on my mat yesterday, it would have been a really half-hearted effort, or I would have forced myself to do something that my body wasn't happy to do. And so it's discerning for ourselves where we are sitting with this, our own energy. And when lethargy comes in, obviously we need to move to get the energies moving again. But for me, I needed A, to see my daughter, and B, to go out into the world again. And I know retail isn't the answer to everything, but it was just a bit of normality brought back. It was going out into the world and feeling a little bit more connected to the outside world, our real world. So for me, that was actually more important than sitting on my yoga mat. So it doesn't mean that I haven't done my yoga practice because I haven't sat on my mat. It just means I've approached it in a different sense. And this is really where yoga becomes real yoga, not just piling out postures on the mat, but how we approach it into our real world, how we apply it into our real world. And when we have time to notice how our energies feel, whether we feel stagnant, slow and sluggish. Yes, a lot of people go for a run or a walk. I like to walk my dog too. But noticing how, again, a sense of a human needs to be productive. So how are we being productive, and does that satisfy our needs? We do need to feel satisfied, sated in what we're doing in life. So if you're kind of a bit Groundhog Day and things have just become a bit samey, we need to actually go off the beaten track, do something different to shake up these energies, to find a different perspective of things. And I even walked the dog a different direction. I went off the beaten track and I went somewhere different because I needed to find something a little bit more different and exciting, so that my energies weren't so familiar, because when we're familiar with something we don't start to notice anymore. So it's useful to do something different. So I did it shopping. Shopping is really different at the moment. Now I had set out to buy some new jeans because my midriff has got a little bit stagnant and stodgy and my jeans have become uncomfortable, but there were no clothes shops open. However, this energy was dispersed by me just getting out and doing something different. So that's how I sort of view this unlockdown. We're changing what's become familiar, and we're taking ourselves into unknown territory, into areas that we haven't perhaps visited for a while. So I'm going to get on the mat and move. I've got a different venue today. I thought I'd leave hubby the conservatory space because he likes to watch a certain program on a Sunday morning. So I'm going to go and this is my upstairs space, so don't often come up here. Let's go and have a little bit of a play on the mat. So let's just see what we're feeling today. So just finding a little bit of moment mat and just finding a little bit of breath. And obviously whenever we're discombobulated, our energies have gone a little bit all over the place. If we come back to the breath and we start to feel that breath movement, we're going to then start to recognize A, how the breath feels, and B, how the body feels, and our emotions. How is the mental chatter? Now, all of these factors of energy are really important to how we maneuver and use these energies. So if they become stagnant, if we become a little bit stuck in the mud in how we perceive situations, our own life, other people's situations, then we need to move these energies and see a broader perspective. Or maybe we're seeing a broader perspective and we need to look at some little details and bring it back into a little bit of a closer, intimate relationship with ourselves or with other people or subjects. So finding that breath. Inhale, exhale, and just allow a moment of how does this feel? Where does that energy feel stuck? I'm a great believer when we have an excess of energy, we will put weight on, especially as women. We will put weight on where we are not moving energy, where we're not moving forward, where that energy has sort of backed up and blocked up. I'm not a great believer in blocked energy, but when it's becoming an excess, an accumulation of energy, and then we'll feel this in our own perhaps weight or our body. Now, obviously, the new moon is with the eclipse is like a full moon energy, so it's full. The energy is larger, it's more powerful at the moment. So noticing how this energy feels in your own body and how your breath, the breath is your life force, it's energy. How does that feel as we inhale and exhale? And just allowing, a little bit of moment to just come back. So the inhale fills the body up, the exhale releases. And we can use an intention to bring in fresh new energy here on the inhale, and exhale anything that's stale and stagnant that no longer serves you. And just allowing that a little bit of time. Just to settle into your mat and come back into your world. How does it feel? Do we feel a bit up in the head space? Do we feel down in the body? Do we feel outside of ourselves, or do we feel inside? What's going on? Do we feel that we're floating away above the ethers, or do we feel this stuck in the mud feeling? This is I think where I'm at. Stuck in the mud, the familiarity becomes a little boring, and sometimes we need a bit of excitement in our lives. And as we just come to terms with how we're feeling, then we can approach our practice with a mindful approach rather than just sort of, I have to do this, I have to do that. We don't have to do anything. And as I'm moving my body, I can feel a bit of tightness stuck in my left hip. This is just feeling a little tight. So just moving it around a little bit, just getting that movement to open up the body. And I have done some movement. I haven't totally neglected my physicality. That would be very unwise. So I have done some forms of movement. It's just not been physically on my mat. So this again, we don't have to be, you can be disciplined to be on your mat, but we can take it into our real world. So adding little snippets along the way, that works for me. So let's take some release rolls. So just finding that little bit up and down. A much softer carpet. Yeah. Feels very nice. A little bit of comfort. So too much austerity isn't good for you. This is part of the limbs of yoga. When we're in austerity, we neglect and we stop ourselves having luxury. Maybe mine's a bit too luxurious in the cake department. Just taking this into a slow roll, just allowing this to come down through each vertebrae. So as we start to unravel the spine, the energy will start to move a little bit more freely. And if it's got sluggish, obviously then it'll speed up a little bit. This can be quite useful for shifting like physical weight. When we accumulate things, when we store things. And I think this has been quite prevalent with people sort of stockpiling. So
why are we stockpiling? Is there a fear attached to what we're holding on to? So just find that little bit of movement. And my back feels still a little bit sticky, so I can just feel this a little bit grumpy in my low back. Find some little bit of screen wiper knees, just allowing this to, I have to move away. Find my positioning in this room. I don't want to hurt myself on the furniture. I was just finding a little bit of flopping side to side, the old flippy floppy work I'm a great fan of. It does sort of serve us to let go. Letting go is really important. Now the new moon is all about setting intention, setting how you want your next phase to work out, how you're going to walk this path, and what ideas you've perhaps thought of in the lockdown. You might have had more time to be introspective. Let's just move this knee up and down a little bit, hit some circles, get some energy movement around the body. So setting your intention, be careful what you desire, because the universe is very good at giving us what we want, even if we don't feel we deserve it. Sometimes we are unknowingly asked for things, and then we get it and we think, we're doing that. Let's just do some little bottom drops, so just lift and drop. I don't know how that'll be in the upstairs space. I'm used to a much firmer floor. This can go in the upper back. Lift and drop in the upper back. And just finding that little bit of movement through the upper back. Let's do some arms. And again, all of these vibrations, if you think about the physics, if you vibrate something, you're going to generate heat. And when we generate heat, you're going to burn off all of the samskaras of the mind, the negative thoughts in the mind. So when we generate heat in our movement, we actually are creating this heat to burn off anything that we don't want. Physically, that'll be your metabolism, so that'll get your metabolism operating more on a building muscle, building larger muscle. Just moving the arms around a little bit. Let's go for a zombie. A little bit of a flippy flop. Just into the neck. My neck's been a bit stuck. I don't know. I feel I haven't voiced what I want to voice, so I get this accumulation around my neck. So just lift and release that down a little bit. Just finding a little bit of, again, letting go. And I can feel this tight even across the pecs. So let's just open the neck a little bit, just a few nose along the floor, just to wake that up a little bit. Good. Let's just bring this up into a little bit of a bridge position, and you can do the ripple through the spine. This really starts to wake up the core a little bit, and again, if we're using major muscles, this is going to burn off anything that we don't want anymore. So it's not, we have an innate strength and flexibility, so it's just tapping into this. It's really useful. Oh, I'm going to have to just stop this right now. Let's go into Happy Baby and just find this little bit of rocking side to side. Just finding that little bit of movement. Very good for the back. Just finding a little bit of hip opener too. Setting that movement up. And just noticing how that feels, and again noticing how your the quality of your movement. Is it fast or is it slow? Is it just kind of in the middle? And this again can give you ideas of how you perhaps need to move. And just taking a minute with your breath. And
to have to just close this off because doorbell's just rung. I'll be back later. Always interrupted.